Hello everybody. So this video is entitled Geopolitics Madness is Back. The Geopolitics Madness is back. Is it one time a month? One time per month now? Is this what this is? And of course, I never really want to make these videos. I was actually working on this video just now. I will probably record it tomorrow. Doing fundamental analysis, trying to find hidden stocks, hidden gems. And I'm like, okay, this is going to be a cozy day in the market. And frankly, the day in the market was not that crazy. The day in the market was not that bad. But the news as far as geopolitics was pretty darn bad. So there's two big pieces of geopolitical news. So oil is up on this news. So you may remember the US removed sanctions and allowed Iran to sell oil. Well, that's gone, and that was, an hour before closing. And then 2 hours before closing, we had the Greenland issue back on the table. So two major geopolitical sticking points that have crashed the market previously. Greenland, you may remember, that was January of 2026. That really crashed the market a little bit. And then, of course, the oil crisis, right, of March with the Iran crisis. These two big pieces of news are back on the table. And, of course, stocks are extremely volatile once again. The market, stocks are going up. Many stocks are going up. Many stocks are doing well. I'm not complaining at all. I'm happy with HIMS at 36. Well, I guess HIMS is still very undervalued. Happy with Tesla at 400. I guess it's still undervalued in my view. I know some people are going to be mad when I say that in the comment section, but one day I'll cover Tesla again and show a long-term projection. Solana's doing okay, back at 80. Many of these risky assets are doing okay, but the volatility is what is crazy. By how much they move week to week is what is crazy. Look at Micron, for example. Micron is down 20% over 5 days. And you'd think it's the only one. It's not, right? Marvell down 19, right? Applied Material down 21. So many of the semis, right? Intel is up 11%, down 10%, up 11%, down 10%. Every other day, it seems like. Palantir is up 20%. The one thing that has changed is stocks are still performing, but the volatility surrounding the stocks is at all-time high. And I'm not the only one pointing this out, right? Follow like the macro letter, Kobayashi letter, talking about volatility being at an all-time high, like in the history of the stock market. The fact that stocks move casually plus 10%, down 10%, casually, that is the one thing that has changed. And the news cycle, I think, is one of the reasons for this trigger, right? For this trigger in the change in stock prices. Also, very interesting. I think a lot of this volatility is linked to Wall Street trading, to US-based trading. Because if you look at, for example, I mean, this is kind of a revealing test you can make. For example, take Solana, right? Solana flat on the day, right? Minus 0.8%. Who cares? No price action whatsoever. And I use, of course, a random ETF here, GSOL, to look at the price movement with the same market hours at the US. You see Solana has no change. Now, take the Solana treasury company, which is roughly trading at a 1x MNAV, which has the best balance sheet, in my view, in all of the Solana treasury companies. It's down 10%, right? And if you move to Bitcoin, it's about the same way. The treasury companies of Bitcoin are way down, but Bitcoin is not moving that much. So this tells me when there's a huge delta in the stock performance of a treasury company as opposed to the underlying asset, which in their case is, well, I guess forward is still undervalued. It's actually slightly under 1 now that I think of it, but it's still a pretty stable MNAV. The volatility is much greater on the stocks than it is on for example, the crypto rails. And of course, it's part of the course with this volatility. A lot of the stocks that I cover on the channel are very high beta type stocks, and so they're going to move much more than the rest of the market. That's why we have HIMS down 5%. What does HIMS have to do with Greenland? I have no idea, but it's down 5, or with oil for that matter. I have no idea, but it's just the way this market works. We get these intraday hours where correlation moves to 1. And if you look at the one-day performance, Micron, AMD, dumping. The higher the beta, the greater the dump. So there is a takeaway to this video. Stocks over the long run appear to be doing okay. They are performing, but they are scary because they move a lot. They are risky. You really got to be used to seeing this volatility, and it may be very tough for people to look at those portfolios under a volatility environment. So, what are my takeaways from this? My takeaways are we live in a super high volatility regime. So, what do we know from that super high volatility? That means short-term options and margin if you go too crazy. These are super risky, right? You could make a lot of money if you sell a put and a stock moves 10% the next day, and they do these random moves all the time, right? Same thing, right? You can make a lot of money if you sell a call and then boom, the stock drops 10%, or you sell a call towards the end of the week and the stock just remains volatile but never hits your call. If your call expires worthless. There are fat premiums in the options market, and frankly, these premiums are very high. I'm looking at the numbers, very high premiums, whether it's short-term or long-term, the super high premium. That's because of the high volatility regime we live in. That's takeaway number 1. Takeaway number 2 is if someone wants a stock cheap, the fact that we could get 1 crisis per month, and I'm not exaggerating. Like, come on, Greenland is back on. It's back, right? That crisis is going to make a comeback, I have a feeling. So anyways, that could get you 1 deal per month or 1 flash sell per month. So your stocks could be having a flash sell every month. So perhaps don't chase. And the prime example of that is Micron. Micron is under $1,000. Micron at 919 is looking very reasonable here. And the problem is we don't know how low it's going to go because the volatility is insane. For all you know, Micron's going to be up 10% tomorrow and then down 11% on Thursday. But we get these flash sales. So that's the other takeaway. Overpaying for stocks, if you know that you can have a tweet who can drop the markets real quick at any time, overpaying for stocks becomes a less compelling proposal. Takeaway number 3, leveraged ETFs, and these have become very, very popular, but they are already very darn bad in normal times. Decay kills you in normal times in a matter of 3 weeks, and the way to see that, of course, is go to any total return calculator and compare TSLL, right, 2x Tesla, to TSLA, Tesla, and you'll see that starting at like a 7-month period, the 2x ETF starts entirely underperforming. It's 2x the stock, but it's these are daily ETFs. And this volatility is way worse for daily ETFs because you accrue more decay on a daily basis. Don't forget, these ETFs reset, and they reset every day, and the reset is very defavorable if you have a plus 10%, minus 10% day. So these are already pretty tough in normal times. Tough to look at, right? They bleed in normal times. Imagine how much they bleed in volatile times. In my view, they bleed way more, right? And don't forget that these stocks do splits all the time so that you don't see how much they bled, right? And then the last point is, wouldn't the bet on volatility be simply betting on the volatility, betting on the traders, betting on the fact that the market is looking more and more like a casino and people like to play more and more, and a lot of retail traders seem to love this plus 10%, minus 10% moves? How do you bet on this high volatility? This is what I made in my last video. Last month, I made a very similar video to this. So how do you bet? Well, exchange is a way to bet. If you look at Webull, Robinhood, there's a few other exchanges you can look at that make money from fees like that. So exchanges could be a way to bet on volatility. Lot more traders. Then of course, my takeaway of these videos has been to buy the Hype token and to look at the Hyperliquid platform. I love the Hyperliquid platform because on Hyperliquid, the volatility is turned into more trading, which is turned into more fees, and Hyperliquid burns 99% of the fees. They do a buyback and burn 99% of the fees. You could say Solana is good too, but Solana only burns 50% of the fees, not 99%. And so that's why I think the Hype token is going to continue to outperform if we keep getting these crazy moves to the upside and downside. I think it's going to continue to outperform because Hype token is backed by a 99% fee buyback. So I like Hype token, of course. And lastly, one way to benefit from volatility, and of course, you better not fall in love with a stock because you could lose your stock if you do that, right? But say sell way out of the money calls, like if you sell way out of the money calls or way out of the money puts, way lower than where the stock price is trading at, you will see. Try it out on your broker. You will see that the premiums are much fatter than they used to be. But that's because, of course, the risk is higher, right? Because they move more. But nonetheless, these premiums are bigger right now. And so betting on volatility, these are 3 ways one could bet on volatility. Perhaps options is risky. I mean, not perhaps, for sure, options are riskier than other ways to bet on volatility. But I think under a high volatility regime, there are ways to always win, and it is a way to harvest that volatility. I think these are 3 ways that you could harvest that volatility. Now, of course, if volatility drops, then you could also not do too well. But anyways, these are kind of my thoughts about this. But as always, not investment advice, not financial advice on this channel. We can never predict the next tweet. So none of that. This is only entertainment. I hope you were entertained. Please like, please subscribe, follow me on Patreon, follow me on X. Thank you for watching, and have a wonderful, wonderful day.